Hello, this is the Ground Sloth. This is part 7 of the Xavier guide. We're going to continue talking about solo carry, and I promise this is the last video on solo carry. This is the 4th video, right? We talked about his attack percentage, then we talked about how it compares to other legendary units. We talked about his extra spin attack, so it makes sense that we compare it to other units. Now, when we compare this to other units, well, there really aren't any units like this that get an extra attack. We're not going to do it that way. Remember earlier when we were comparing to other legendary units and we saw a unit like Rawia, where her trait just gives her a flat damage increase to all her abilities, right? Well, let's use this as sort of a thinking mnemonic in a way, or a mnemonic, a way to change our perspective on this extra attack. All of Xavier's abilities put you want to use them in close proximity of not just one enemy, but multiple enemies, right? So every single time you do your extra attack, you are getting value, right? And as stated before, when you do an extra attack, for example, chaotic battle, right? In one of the videos I did a chaotic battle, and then when he did his extra hit attack, he hit 3 targets, right? So when yes, it's a 30% scaling move, right? But when you hit times 3, he did 90% of his total attack value, and it was for free and without no cost to his standard attack action, right? It's a free action, essentially. So it's just extra. That's all it is. It's free. You can't get better than free, right? It does have a condition that you have to start or end your turn near an enemy, and it can only be used once per round. So you can't start your turn, do an extra spin, do a skill attack, then end your turn and do an extra spin. That would be pretty nice, but that would be a lot of extra damage, right? That would be 60% and up to 80%, right? On one enemy per turn. That's a little busted. Now, what's a way we can look at this? Well, Rawia gets a damage percent increase. This applies to all our attacks. Xavier, it's not 100% guaranteed you're gonna start or end yourself on a turn with an enemy. However, if you're actively attacking an enemy and they live, or they're enemies in proximity and they move to you and attack you with melee, you are pretty much guaranteed to get this off. So 9 times out of 10, you're going to do this extra spin attack and hit at least one target. And of course, if you hit more targets, good for you. You're playing Xavier quite right. Although, you could be playing Xavier quite safe as well, so that's not to say that you're doing it wrong. So, how much? So the question then is going to be, how much of a damage percent increase does this extra spin attack have in conjunction with his other skills? Let's ask that question. Right? We know that he has a 70% attack skill. He has an 80%. He has a 90%. His basic attack is 100. And wouldn't you know it, he has 110%. So he has the full range of from 70 to 110% modifiers. Okay? When we're looking at other units, typically for single target damage, they at the top end, we look at like 150 all the way to like 190. Okay? In very, very rare cases. So, if we add that 30% mod, right? We don't just have a 70 skill. That we have a 100 mod skill. And that scales all the way to his 110. We don't have 110 anymore. We have 140. So, yes, it's less than the typical range of 150 to 190, but that was all for single target damage. This, my friends, is AoE, and it's AoE non-magical damage, which is very, very hard to get high multipliers on AoE non-magical damage. Really, really good, right? So that's 140. Now, if we want to view this as a damage increase buff, let's try to see what would it be in terms of a damage increase. So let's pull up my calculator. So a damage increase would have less effectiveness the higher the skill modifier starts out. So Maso is 110. That means when we add it, right, we had 140, right, at 1 star to 4 star. So 140 is 27% stronger than the normal Maso if you land your extra attack. The extra attack has more damage increase the lower the skill mod is. So the 70 mod skill of chaotic battle, his life, the one that gives him lifesteal, you get an increase of almost 43%. Okay? So 43%, and I believe the other one was 27%, right? So at 1 star to 4 star, we're gonna go from 27% to, I already forgot, 47. Yeah, 47%. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. So that is a big damage increase. Now we know that Xavier's extra attack increases by another 10%, right? So 30 to 40 is a 33% increase of his damage in that one skill alone, that one extra attack. So let's take a look at let's do the same logic and apply it as his 5 star, right? So not everyone's gonna get every character at 5 star. However, to make the most effective use of any character in this game, it makes sense to get them to 5 star. So a lot of people, they will look at a character and they need to assess whether or not it's worth it to them to get a character to 5 star. So even though a lot of people won't be necessarily interested in getting Xavier to 5 star, and he is certainly playable from 1 all the way up to 4 star, right? You get the most change and the most damage potential out of him at 5 star, right? He hits 8% to 40 to 32% increased attack, which is a lot of attack increase. In addition, his extra attack goes from 30 to 40 with that attack increase, right? So 40 means that his skill range of 70 to 110 now changes to 110 to 150. And this is all, again, AoE. So Now Xavier, with this extra attack, is doing a combined skill multiplier that at the top end is matching the single target multiplier for our high damage skills at its low range, right? So 150 to 190 is typically what we see on any legendary character that has a good single target attack, right? It starts out usually 150%. We're thinking of skills like heavy throw. We're thinking of Rawia's giant attack. It starts off at 150, can go up to 190. So we're looking at Maitha has her combo that adds up to 150. That's her highest hitting attack. We got Danteleon. He does like a bunch of 30% attacks that go up to 120, and then he does a 50% AoE behind the target. So so we're actually maintaining pretty good multiplier here. Now let's take a look at how much of a damage increase this is. So on the lowest end, we have Maso being 150 instead of 110. That's a 36% increase. And then we're having his Chaotic Battle, which is his lifesteal one, getting a 57% increase. So, and I need to remember these numbers. My memory. Oh no. Oh. So 36 to 57. Okay. So at 5-star, that extra spin is like a 36% to 57% damage increase. Okay? So if we want to convert it into a damage increase for his abilities, at the low end, if you get that hit off on his Maso, like you start your turn, you spin, then you Maso, hit them and knock them back. That was a 36% increase in your total damage for that round. Okay? Where on the top end, you're using his lowest skill mod, but it's also the one that gives him 40% lifesteal natively, which you could add the 20% passive to get it to 60. You can add the 15% engraving to get it to 75. You can add a butterfly to give him 30% lifesteal to get it to 105, right? That skill goes from 70 up to 110% skill mod that you can theoretically get to 105% lifesteal, which seems kind of like unnecessary at that point. But that gets a 57% damage increase. And if you have those lifesteal passives, the spin itself gets 75%. Is it? Let me do Sloth doing some math. Okay, I'm back. The correct answer is 65%. Okay, so 65% on his extra spin, right? You're getting a little extra, right? So if the previous 105% theoretical lifesteal was just a little too much, then you have a follow-up smaller attack, but it's still with 65 lifesteal. So that's kind of gross. We'll go on in the next video. Moving on. So here is so you get a 50% damage increase in your overall damage you did that round if you land your spin attack before or after you did your chaotic battle attack. Okay, so that's going to be the video, right? When you combine his attack increase and his extra attack and you land it in conjunction with his skills, and we converted it for the sake of thinking about it to a damage increase, Rawia, she has a damage increase, but she doesn't have a damage increase and an attack increase. right? In terms of just her trait alone. And when we look at all the characters, Xavier gets to have an attack increase, and if we convert it that way in thinking, a damage increase in his overall damage per round, just from his trait alone. All right, well, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching.